Hello, family. God bless everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. We left off in the book of Jubilee. We left off at chapter 40, and we will begin there at chapter 40. In those days, Pharaoh dreamed two dreams in one night concerning a famine that was to be in all the land. And he awoke from his sleep and called all the magicians and interpreters of dreams that were in Egypt. He told them his two dreams, but they were not able to tell him what they meant. Then the chief butler remembered Joseph and told the king of him, and he brought him out of prison, and the king told his two dreams to him. He said before Pharaoh that his two dreams were one, and he said to him, 7 years shall come in which there shall be plenty in all the land of Egypt. But after that, 7 years of famine, such a famine as has not been in all the land. Now let Pharaoh appoint administrators in all the land of Egypt, and let them store up food in every city throughout all the years of plenty. And there will be food for the 7 years of famine, and those of the land, and those of the land will not perish through the famine, even though it will be very severe. The Lord gave Joseph favor and mercy in the eyes of Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his servants, "We shall not find such a wise and prudent man like this man, because the Spirit of the Lord is with him. And he appointed Joseph the second in command in his entire kingdom, and gave him authority over all Egypt, and placed him on the second chariot of Pharaoh to ride. And he clothed him with the fine linen cloths, and he put a gold chain around his neck, and a crier proclaimed before him, El Wahabayir. And he placed a ring on his hand and made him ruler over all his house, and lifted him up before the people, and said to him, "Only on the throne shall I be greater than you." Joseph ruled over all the land of Egypt, and all the governors of Pharaoh, and all his servants, and all those who did the king's business loved him, because he walked in uprightness, because he was without pride and arrogance. He did not judge people by their position, and did not accept gifts, but he judged all the people of the land in uprightness. The land of Egypt was at peace before Pharaoh because of Joseph, because the Lord was with him, and the Lord gave him favor and mercy for all his generations before all those who knew him and those who heard of him. And Pharaoh's kingdom was run efficiently, and there was no Satan and no evil person in it. And the king called Joseph's name Sephen-Tiphens, and gave Joseph the daughter of Potiphar, the daughter of the priest of Heliopolis, the chief cook, to marry. On the day that Joseph stood before Pharaoh, he was 30 years old. In that year, Isaac died. Things transpired as Joseph had said in the interpretation of Pharaoh's dream, and there were 7 years of plenty over all the land of Egypt. And the land of Egypt abundantly produced, one measure producing 1,800 measures. Joseph gathered food into every city until they were full of grain, and they could no longer count or measure it because of its multitude. Chapter 41. In the 45th Jubilee, in the second week, and in the second year, Judah took his firstborn a wife from the daughters of Aram, named Tamar. But he hated her and did not have sex with her, because her mother was of the daughters of Canaan. And he wished to take him a wife of the lineage of his mother, but Judah, his father, would not permit him to do that. The firstborn of Judah, was wicked, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, his brother, "Go in to your brother's wife and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her, and raise up offspring to your brother." Onan knew that the offspring would not be his, but his brother's only. And he went into the house of his brother's wife and spilt his seed on the ground. And he was wicked in the eyes of the Lord, and he killed him. Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Remain in your father's house as a widow until Shelah, my son, has grown up, and I shall give you to him to wife." He grew up, but Bethuel, the wife of Judah, did not permit her son Shelah to marry. Bethuel, Judah's wife, died in the 5th year of this week. In the 6th year, Judah went up to shear his sheep at Timnah. And they told Tamar, "Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep." And she took off her widow's clothes and put on a veil and adorned herself and sat in the gate connecting the road to Timnah. As Judah was going along, he saw her and thought she was a prostitute. And he said to her, "Let me come in to you." And she said to him, "Come in." And he went in. She said to him, "Give me my pay." And he said to her, "I have nothing with me except my ring that is on my finger, my necklace, and my staff which is in my hand." She said to him, "Give them to me until you send me my pay." And he said to her, "I will send you a kid of the goats." And he gave her his ring, necklace, and staff. And she conceived by him. Judah went to his sheep, and she went to her father's house. Judah sent a kid of the goats by the hand of his shepherd, an Adullamite, but he could not find her. So he asked the people of the place, saying, "Where is the prostitute who was here?" They said to him, "There is no prostitute here with us." And he returned and informed Judah that he had not found her. "I asked the people of the place, and they said to me, 'There is no prostitute here.'" He said, "If you see her, give the kids to her, or we become a cause of ridicule." And when she had completed 3 months, it was revealed that she was with child. And they told Judah, saying, "Look, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, is with child by whoredom." And Judah went to the house of her father and said to her father and her brothers, "Bring her out and let them burn her, for she has committed uncleanness in Israel." It happened when they brought her out to burn her that she sent to her father-in-law the ring and the necklace and the staff, saying, "Tell us whose are these, because by him am I with child." Judah acknowledged and said, "Tamar is more righteous than I am. Do not let them burn her." And for that reason, she was not given to Shelah. And he did not again approach her. And after that, she gave birth to 2 sons, Perez and Zerah, in the 7th year of this 2nd week. At this time, the 7 years of fruitfulness were completed, of which Joseph spoke to Pharaoh. Judah acknowledged the evil deed that he had done because he had sex with his daughter-in-law, and he hated himself for it. He acknowledged that he had transgressed and gone astray, because he had uncovered the skirt of his son, and he began to lament and to supplicate before the Lord because of his transgression. We told him in a dream that it was forgiven him because he supplicated earnestly and lamented and did not commit the act again. And he received forgiveness because he turned from his sin and from his ignorance, because he transgressed greatly before our God. Everyone that acts like this, everyone who has sex with his mother-in-law, let them burn him alive with fire, because there is uncleanness and pollution on them. Let them burn them alive. Command the children of Israel that there should be no uncleanness among them, because everyone who has sex with his daughter-in-law or with his mother-in-law has committed uncleanness. Let them burn the man who has had sex with her with fire, and likewise burn the woman, so that God will turn away wrath and punishment from Israel. We told Judah that his 2 sons had not had sex with her, and for this reason his offspring was established for a 2nd generation and would not be rooted out. For in single-mindedness he had gone and sought for punishment, namely, according to the judgment of Abraham, which he had commanded his sons. Judah had sought to burn her alive. Chapter 42. In the 1st year of the 3rd week of the 45th Jubilee, the famine began to come into the land, and the rain refused to be given to the earth. None whatsoever fell. The earth became barren, but in the land of Egypt there was food, because Joseph had gathered the seed of the land in the 7 years of plenty, and had preserved it. The Egyptians came to Joseph that he might give them food, and he opened the storehouses where the grain of the 1st year was stored, and he sold it to the people of the land for gold. Jacob heard there was food in Egypt, and he sent his 10 sons that they should procure food for him in Egypt. And they arrived among those that were there, but Benjamin he did not send. Joseph recognized them, but they did not recognize him. He spoke to them and questioned them, and he said to them, "Are you not spies, and have you not come to explore ways to enter this land?" And he put them in custody. After that, he set them free again, and detained Simon alone, and sent his 9 brothers away. He filled their sacks with corn, and he put their gold back in their sacks, and they did not know it. Joseph then commanded them to bring their younger brother, because they had not told him their father was living, and also their younger brother. family, they had told him their father was living and also their younger brother. They went up from the land of Egypt, and they came to the land of Canaan. There they told their father all that had happened to them, and how the ruler of the country had spoken rudely to them, and had seized Simon until they should bring Benjamin. Jacob said, "You have taken my children from me. Joseph is gone, and Simon also is gone. And now you will take Benjamin away? I am the victim of your wickedness." He said, "My son will not go down with you, because fate may have it that he would fall sick." Their mother gave birth to 2 sons, and one has died, and this one also you will take from me? If, by fate, he took a fever on the road, you would turn my old age to sorrow and death. He saw that every man's money had been returned to him in his sack, and for this reason he feared to send him. The famine increased and became grievous in the land of Canaan, and in all lands except the land of Egypt. Egypt had food because many of the children of the Egyptians had stored up their seed for food from the time when they saw Joseph gathering seed together and putting it in storehouses and preserving it for the years of famine. The people of Egypt fed themselves on it during the first year of their famine, but when Israel saw that the famine was very serious in the land, and that there was no deliverance, he said to his sons, "Go again and procure food for us so that we will not die." They said, "We shall not go unless our youngest brother go with us." Israel saw that if he did not send Benjamin with them, they would all perish because of the famine. Reuben said, "Give him to me, and if I do not bring him back to you, kill my 2 sons in payment for his soul." Israel said to Reuben, "He shall not go with you." Judah came near and said, "Send him with me, and if I do not bring him back to you, let me bear your blame all the days of my life." He sent him with them in the 2nd year of this week, on the 1st day of the month. They all came to the land of Egypt, and they had presents in their hands of sweet spice, almonds, turpentine nuts, and pure honey. And they went and stood before Joseph, and he saw Benjamin his brother. And he knew him and said to them, "Is this your youngest brother?" They said to him, "It is he." He said, "The Lord be gracious to you, my son." And he sent Benjamin into his house, and he brought out Simon to them. Joseph made a feast for them, and they presented to him the gifts that they had brought in their hands. They ate before Joseph, and he gave them all a portion of food. But the portion of food given to Benjamin was 7 times larger than any of theirs. They ate and drank and got up and remained with their donkeys. Joseph devised a plan whereby he might learn their thoughts as to whether they desired peace or not. He said to the steward who was over his house, "Fill all their sacks with food. Place their money back in their vessels. Put my cup, the silver cup out of which I drink, in the sack of the youngest, and send them away." Chapter 43. He did as Joseph had told him and filled their sacks with food for them and put their money back into their sacks and put the cup in Benjamin's sack. Early in the morning they departed. And it happened that when they had gone from that place, Joseph said to the steward of his house, "Pursue them, run and seize them, and say, 'You have repaid my kindness with evil. You have stolen from me the silver cup out of which my Lord drinks. Bring me back their youngest brother. Go, get him quickly before I go to my seat of judgment.'" He ran after them and said the words as he was told. They said to him, "God forbid that your servants should do this thing and steal any utensil or money from the house of your Lord. Like the things we found in our sacks the first time, we, your servants, came back from the land of Canaan. We have not stolen any utensil. How could we? Look here in our sacks and search. And wherever you find the cup in the sack of any man among us, let him be killed, and we and our donkeys will serve your Lord." He said to them, "Not so. If I find it, the man whose sack I find it in, I shall take as a servant, and the rest of you shall return in peace to your house." He was searching in their vessels, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest. And when it was found in Benjamin's sack, they ripped their garments in frustration and placed their belongings back on their donkeys and returned to the city and came to the house of Joseph. They all bowed themselves with their faces to the ground in front of him. Joseph said to them, "You have done evil." They said, "What shall we say and how shall we defend ourselves? Our Lord has discovered the transgression of his servants, and now we and our donkeys are the servants of our Lord." Joseph said to them, "I too fear the Lord. As for you, go to your homes and let your brother be my servant. Because you have done evil, I delight in this cup as no one else delights in his cup, and yet you have stolen it from me." Judah said, "O my Lord, I pray you to let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ear. Your servant's mother had 2 sons for our father. One went away and was lost, and has not been found since. This one alone is left of his mother, and your servant, our father, loves him. He would die if the lad were lost to him. When we go to your servant, our father, and the lad is not with us, it will happen that he will die. We will have brought so much sorrow on our father, it will bring his death. Now rather let me, your servant, stay here as a bondsman to my Lord instead of the boy. Let the lad go with his brothers, because I will stand in for him at the hand of your servant, our father. If I do not bring him back, your servant will bear the blame of our father forever." Joseph saw that they were all in accord in doing good to one another. Then he could not refrain himself, and he told them that he was Joseph. And he conversed with them in the Hebrew tongue and hugged their necks and wept. At first they did not recognize him, and then they began to weep. He said to them, "Do not weep for me, but hurry and bring my father to see me. See, it is my mouth that speaks, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see me. Pay attention. This is the second year of the famine, and there are still 5 years to come without harvest or fruit of trees or plowing. You and your households come down quickly so that you won't die because of the famine. Do not be greedy for your possessions, because the Lord sent me before you to set things in order that many people might live. Tell my father that I am still alive. You see that the Lord has made me as a father to Pharaoh and ruler over his house and over all the land of Egypt. Tell my father of all my glory and all the riches and glory that the Lord has given me. By the command of Pharaoh's mouth, he gave them chariots and provisions for the way, and he gave them all multicolored raiment and silver. He sent corn, raiment, silver, and 10 donkeys that carried all of this to his father, and he sent them away. They went up and told their father that Joseph was alive and was measuring out corn to all the nations of the earth, and that he was ruler over all the land of Egypt. But their father did not believe it, because he was not in his right mind. But when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent, the life of his spirit revived. And he said, "It is enough for me if Joseph lives. I will go down and see him before I die." Thank you for listening, family.